Hey everyone, and welcome to the fifth edition of the TestMu conference. I'm 𝐒𝐚𝐳, a senior product marketing manager here at TestMu AI, and I'll be your host for this session today. Most AI testing demos they stop at generating a test, right? But real-world QA scenarios, it consists of a continuous loop, which includes authoring, collecting evidence, assurance, and maintenance, right? And in this session, we'll see that loop in action with a hands-on walkthrough of Kane CLI, from turning requirements into test scenarios to executing them against a live application, capturing evidence, validating behavior beyond brittle assertions, and identifying test drift as the application evolves. We'll also explore where AI can genuinely take over manual QA work and where human judgment still matters. Today's session is led by Shravan Mahajan, a software engineer at TestMu AI, who works on AI-powered tools for traceable test planning and browser automation. A quick ask, please feel free to share your takeaways and your learnings over LinkedIn or X and tag us using the hashtag TestMuConf so we can keep the conversation going. And also, in case you have to leave this session in the middle due to any reason, you don't have to worry about on missing out on anything, as this and all other sessions are being recorded and they will be readily available on our YouTube channel. So I would highly suggest that you all subscribe to TestMeAI's YouTube channel so you can rewatch the sessions anytime you want. All right, without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, Shravan.
Yes, thank you, Devansh. Hi, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Can you confirm, Devansh, once?
Yeah, yeah, you're audible. Yeah,
And my screen is visible, right?
yep.
Right. So this is a follow-up workshop after Siddhant's session, which was done yesterday, and it was mainly focused on the assurance loop, which we are going to talk about again today, just in case someone else is joining for the first time and didn't join the previous workshop. And so the previous workshop was mainly focused on designing test cases from a requirement specifically for web applications. This session will be more focused towards building for mobile applications. Yeah, just yes. So this today we are just going to build something on top of Kane CLI, which is a tool created by TestMu AI. It's a terminal CLI wherein you can manage your complete context and you can generate test cases for yourself. Let me just go to the next. Right. So the question and the tool that we have built for is nowadays AI is writing all the code, almost all the code. You just give it a review pass, a quick review pass. But who is it that is going to validate that code? Maybe you have set up a harness wherein you can run a session, an actual testing session on your, let's say, a mobile or a desktop, but it actually comes with a lot of bias. So when I say bias is, let's say for taking my own example, I created a very verbose plan, and let's say Claude or some AI agent just created a test out of it and actually executed the test. It comes with a bias because if I let's say the plan is very verbose, but the agent actually decides in between that there might be some change in the actual implementation. What is it going to do? It's just going to update the test as well based on that implementation itself. So that is where tools like Kane CLI come in. Uh, right. Just talking about the loop that we are going to talk about, it's where your requirements come in and what kind of tests that are going to be built on top of those requirements. So when I say requirements, so maybe your product manager has created a PRD, a document wherein there's a requirement for an iOS application. It's going to be built in a specific way. but the actual implementation, it might differ. So the loop we are going to build is we are going to just use those requirements and create test cases based on those requirements, which the product team, for example, has created. And in the end, we are just going to run tests. We're going to create design tests and then run tests, and we'll actually uh, create will validate if something has drifted from the requirement, right? Right. So just the, talking about just the loop, we are going to create a context. What I mean by a context is it's something that wherein you can ingest your requirements itself. So the CLI that we have built, it has its own verbs or commands wherein you can ingest a context, you can design test cases out of it, and just not the test cases, it's actually a bunch of scenarios and acceptance criterias. It's And then we are just going to have Kane CLI run those tests on a real, for this session, it's going to be an iOS simulator. And after execution, we will get an evidence out of it, like what was actually run. If there is a failure, what was the failure, and the coverage from the whole context that we have built, right? So just talking about actual automation or execution in terms of in case of mobile over desktop. Uh, in case of desktops, we have a very free hand. We are exposed with a lot of tools that the browsers provide. We have a very verbose DOM. We can build locators. We have a lot of frameworks. And then in the end, if an AI or a computer use model is actually interacting with your browser, it's just going to it can do everything with just using clicks and typing commands. But in case of mobiles, it can be a lot of gestures. The locators are not very verbose, similar to how, in case you have a very strict framework that you are using. And yeah, right. For this demo, we have for this actually the workshop, we have an application. We have created a V16 food application. It has a very it's not powered by any server. It's just a static application, and uh, yeah, it's just a very basic application. You can just log in. You can have you have a menu, you have a cart and a checkout and a confirmation page. It's a very basic application. So if someone is following along, uh, we have 10,000 credits for you to claim. And because Kane CLI is going to be powered by AI and we charge credit for the executions, we are giving out free 10,000 credits you can claim using this QR code. And post that, we have to install the CLI. The command is there, and there is a prerequisite. We are just going to do it on our Mac Silicon laptops. If you have a Windows or a Linux device, I think you can just follow along in the session itself. So these are just the prerequisites. You'll have to first obviously claim the credits. You have to install the CLI, run a login once. It's powered by OAuth. You can just do it in your laptop in a terminal. And then we'll just go over and install the simulator itself. So just going to pause and just running this Kane CLI Doctor command in one of my terminal sessions. So this is my terminal session, and since I already have Kane CLI installed, I'll just run a version. And I think it's the latest version that is available. And just going back to the deck for people, I'll just wait 2 minutes here. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, anyone? I hope you have copied the commands at least. So I'll just move ahead and actually go back to my terminal. Just going to run the Kane CLI doctor command. I already have a simulator installed on my Mac. And everything is set up for me already. But it might take a bit for you to set up if someone is following along again. So just waiting. So just moving ahead, I hope you have set up or are in process of setup. So I'll just request you to copy this command. So this is just a public repo that we created yesterday, wherein you have the app, the source of the app and the actual build of the app available, along with one sample PRD that we have created for this session. So you can just copy this command, run it in a separate terminal session. So I hope you have copied the command at least or have run this. So I'll just go over the source of the repo once. So what we are just going to look over is this app and the docs folder. Rest of it is just redundant for this session. One is this app folder wherein we have the actual build of the application, wherein we are just going to run the complete sessions on. And then we also have this a document wherein we have a sample PRD in terms of what the requirements for the applications were. And this is what we are just going to use with Kane CLI to actually create test cases in the end and execute them. Right. Just going to start with the actual commands that we can run. So just talking again about the context that we were going to build, we are just going to ingest one PRD into a context, and it's actually a graph that we maintain at our end, and that graph is actually where in all your business use cases, the acceptance criteria, and the scenarios we talked about earlier are present. And this graph is something that we maintain just to make sure that not everything is powered by AI. We just try to save your tokens. We do not want to just go over things that are already built. There's no need for the AI to actually go over those things again. So basically, if we have already extracted something from a PRD, we should already know that something is extracted from the PRD. This actually helps us in our follow-up commands, wherein let's say this PRD changes or there's a new version of this PRD, what is it that is going to change? So all of that graph or the context is managed uh, in your own repo itself. So just going to run these commands. So these are the two commands that we are going to do. So the first command is ingest. Let me just run it once. So I'm already inside the repo that we had just cloned. Uh, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a context ingest and go over docs and the PRD, just the path of the actual PRD document, and just going to hit enter. What actually is happening behind the scenes is we have stored your PRD as a blob inside your context. I'll go over what the context is. Actually, we can just go over it now. This is the repo that we are working inside, and you can see that we already have created a .context directory wherein all your blobs that's a lot of internal information wherein we manage all the linking of all the entities that we build, right? Uh, yeah, while this is running, we can also have, we can actually look at the thinking of the agent if it's actually thinking in the correct direction. So what actually is happening right now, it's generating use cases from the PRD. What a use case is? So use case is an independently existable entity wherein you will have uh, what the requirement of each individually testable entity can be. So it's basically how the community actually manages their uh, test cases in a specific directory. So this is something that we are just going to work with. So it's in process of generating the use cases. Right. So what we can see is that we have created 4 use cases out of it. So this is just out of the PRD itself. Like I mentioned, the app is just 2 or 3 flows wherein you have a sign-in page. You can place a delivery order. Again, it's all static and not powered by any backend. So just going to have basic and just a few use cases. So you can also view here what the use cases actually are. So it's going to have a description of the use case and a lot of criteria wherein we manage what are the criteria that are going to satisfy this use case when we are actually going to build tests in a later phase. Uh, so uh, just exiting out of it, and if I just finish here and do a Kane CLI context list command, so we can see that we have one PRD as a source and the use cases that we just built. So just going to zoom here for better clarity. Mhm. Right. We had only extracted 4 use cases. I'm just going to choose any one, just going to copy this UC1, and we are going to design test cases. So the command to design tests is design tests, and I can just provide one use case. And so there's a review process in between. If someone wants to actually modify or doesn't actually trust the use case, uh, he can review it, but I can just go ahead and work with the unreviewed test. So what the agent is doing right now is it's going over the graph, going over the actual source again, just to make sure that there is nothing that use case itself might have missed, and we might have to check the latest source from the PRD if something might have drifted already. Uh, right. So we are already in the design phase. So the phase itself is just uh, not creating tests out of the use case. It's actually the acceptance criteria and the scenarios as well. So we are just going to go ahead and design the acceptance criteria first. So what I mean by an acceptance criteria is something that is individually verifiable step in your test, which can satisfy if, for example, a login has completed. So maybe once you complete your login automation, you check your profile if you're logged in, or let's say uh, a negative acceptance criteria would be you enter a wrong password in your password field and it pops up with a error prompt. So those are the kind of acceptance criteria. Scenario is your complete flow that can actually validate a bunch of acceptance criterias. So scenarios are just a one-to-one mapping with the tests. So tests are the individual entities that are runnable by uh, Kane CLI in this case. So when I say runnable, it's the actual automation part and the acceptance criteria verification. Going back to the terminal, so it has already decided on 4 acceptance criteria. The login screen shows secure password input. It's just if the password input is visible, login screen shows a sign in button, email button. So these are all just very vague, just because the PRD again was very short, but in case your PRD has a very verbose requirements, for example, password validations, criteria, etc., it's just going to extract those out of it as well. So it's just asking if I want to modify anything here or review it, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask it to continue 2 scenarios so that it can actually design flows which can actually validate these acceptance criteria. Right. So the agent has 2 questions which it needs me to answer. So what I had done in the PID was I had added some uh, testing credentials for a successful login, but it still asks me that is it something that we are just going to use, or is it something else that we want to use it? So just going to go ahead with this happy path login with recommendations, and it's asking for a scenario budget as well. We have no scenario budget. It's just going to create 2 scenarios. So it's just a simple sign in page again. Meanwhile, we should also look at the PRD itself. Mhm. It already have the information about the screens. So since the only source that we are building on top of is this PID, this will be just be your uh, source for login use case, right? So uh, we have presence check for these validation error. In case of when we are actually logged in, it has some more verbose content here. It has some cart information, it has some checkout information, a confirmation page, and some out of scope items. Uh, right. So it has created two scenarios. So these are the scenarios which are going to validate these acceptance criteria. These scenarios are so just sign in blocked when an email or password is empty. This is one of the scenarios, and successful sign in with non-empty email and password. Right. So it's just going to do another pass so that we can actually validate if a scenario itself is independently acceptable. So it's going to just mint acceptance criteria for those scenarios itself. Uh, so again, whatever it is creating and it mentions it's saving, it's all going to be managed in this .context directory. Uh, So it keeps on committing the moment you accept something or reject something, so that everything is independently revertible in a later phase. Right. So it has created three more acceptance criteria. So this is something wherein we actually validate if the scenario itself has completed. So for example, the sign-in, anything related to this sign-in scenario will only pass in if the sign-in menu title say, like after the sign-in, the menu title shows a V16 food app. This is something that is just one acceptance criteria after we have built a scenario. And now it's the last part wherein we create the tests themselves. These will be something out of scenario, which is actually going to be automated or run by Kane CLI. So it already has a question for the login test. What runnable starting state should I design for given mobile runner resource update? So it's just asking me if there's a prior login already done. What should uh, the test do? So should it just log out and log in again, or do we want to make sure that the test is going to be run on a platform where the login always starts first? So I'm just going to go with recommendation here. So it has authored two tests, login reject submission. So this is a negative scenario test. If I just go back, this is something which is a counterpart to this negative test, and we have a second positive test, which is login opens a menu when email and password are non-empty. Just going to go ahead and do a continue. It's just going to commit everything before committing. Right. So we can just view the design. It has actually minted two tests. And if I just go over in this session, we have generated 7 acceptance criteria, 2 scenarios, and 2 tests. I'm going to just end this session. And if I just do a Kane CLI context list again, what we have here is all the tests and the use cases. So this T1 test. So we also introduced TestMD as your test script, a replacement for your test script, wherein you write everything in a plain text. You write your objectives, and Kane CLI is going to just go over and automate those for you. So what I mean by those is, if I just go ahead and do a Kane CLI, actually we can just view it on the code itself. So we have created another directory called TestMu AI, and it has 2 tests. So we can actually look at what it has generated. So this is one test file So it's just going to launch a 𝐕16 food app if it's already installed, or we can just pass in the build itself on the runtime so that it installs fresh. We have a few checks here. Confirm the login screen shows an email field. These are just the presence check acceptance criteria. We are going to log in, and then post login, we are just going to assert if the menu is visible. And then again, it verifies these all acceptance criterias. So what I'm going to go do is Kane CLI test MD. So this is just a command which lists all the tests that are created. So for example, if I just want to run a test here, I can just press R. But since I want to add some additional configurations to this test, I'm just going to do a test MD run and provide some additional configuration. For example, since we already have a simulator setup, going to be a target simulator and app as .slab. Since we already have the app built here, I'm just going to use this. So it's booting iPhone 16. Let me just place this side by side. So I think there's a background session already running on this. So what I'm going to do is, let me just see if I can boot up another simulator. So this is our TUI mode wherein everything can be managed inside a terminal session. I'm going to select and change a device. I have an option to select emulator or simulator, checking for the devices that are available. Selecting this one, choose an app. Just going to put, oh, my bad. Oh, it has already booted the device. I do not have to select that. So since this simulator is already booted up, let me just close the previous one and open the fresh one. Just going to run the same command again, since we have this new simulator set up. I think it supports a device as a command. And I'm going to go ahead and check the name of the app device itself, which we had chosen. Booted. Just give me one moment. I hope people following along have actually been following along. I hope I didn't go too fast with the session itself. So just going to go ahead and wait here while I check the simulator. So these are the commands that you can run to design your scenarios. Let me just retry quickly. Right, so it has started installing the application. It has already installed the application now. So there was an actual session running on this device already in background, which I was not looking at. It was just my Claude driving the session, so I just had to kill that. So what's happening now is, so let me just go ahead and see what this test case actually was. Login opens menu when email and password are non-empty. I'll just go to the code, login opens. It's just going to verify that the screens are visible. It's going to log in and then assert this. So what it does is it actually, once it automates, it's generating the tasks. Once this is automation, this will create a replayable test. So this is a one pass LLM wherein we actually author the test for the first time. But if I just run this, it has a script that is generated and it will run that. So it has already put in the email. It has corrected automatically since maybe when we created it, added a full stop when we designed the test, but it's auto correcting it. So that is a good thing. It has corrected it and now it's deciding. So the two steps have already passed. So just going quickly back to what the step 2 was. It was login. Now it's going to assert and then do a final validation if everything has gone correctly. Right. So just going to put this screen ahead for now, in case you want to actually use these commands to run. Let's go back to terminal. What's happening? So it has already validated that all the 4 steps have passed, and going back to the tech. So the next step is just the evidence. So what we generate, we have created an evidence file which has all the contents of what ran in this session, what is actually that is validated, and how much of it does it cover when we had actually from the context which we had earlier created. right? So we do have a command wherein you can execute to just serve the evidence file. It will open up a viewer with that evidence. But since this test run just ended, I'll just go ahead and do a while. It's going to open new evidence. Let me just pull that up. Right. So this is the evidence that is now being served on this URL. What this evidence contains, it has a report of what happened. It just had one test since we were just authoring a test. So it's just going to have one test instance. What it actually contains, I can just do an autoplay and see what was actually that it is going to it has done here. So it self-corrected, it closed that pop-up, it validated that this header is present, and just a few more assertions. And checking issues, we do not have any issues, but if we have an LLM-powered RCA that is shown here, in just in case something fails, like what is it that is failing, with a suggestion as to uh, what can be done to fix that issue. And in the end, this is what we had built earlier when we were designing the test cases. So we had two scenarios. Each scenario had some acceptance criteria to verify. And just talking about the scenario that we ran, prove that submitting non-empty login values opens up a menu. It has validated 5 acceptance criteria, and based on what we have designed till now, it has already, since we had a very small PRD, it has already verified 71% of what we had designed itself in this test itself. So for a very large context, it's just going to be a few percent if it's just one test. So an evidence can also contain multiple test instances, which you can just run together. And yeah, that's about the evidence itself. Just going to exit here. Right. So the thing I was talking about earlier, since the first run which is powered by LLM, and the second one is I just go ahead, since everything passed here, it's just going to have metadata in the background, which where you do not actually need an LLM to run the test again. So it's just going to replay the test. So going back to the terminal, we can see that the whole thing was done in around, this step was done in 5 credits, 6 credits, 15 credits, 4 credits. And if you just replay, it's just going to be 0 credits. Right. And right. Just moving ahead, so since Kane CLI, we have been working with an interactive session. You can also install Kane CLI skill, so that if you have any other harness that you're working with, for example, Claude Code, Cursor, or whatever harness you're working with, you can just install this skill, and that your agent will be able to drive the whole thing in background for you. All the Kane CLI commands it already knows about from this skill, right? And yeah, so since the earlier session was based on desktop, and this session is for iOS, the commands remain the same. Everything that we generate, it remains the same. There is nothing that is different that you have to do different for working cross-platform. So maybe a few of your acceptance criterias are to be satisfied by both iOS and a desktop app that you have. if you have enough context in your PRD, it should already be able to design tests for both iOS. So there's nothing foreground that you will have to do. Everything will be managed by Kane CLI itself. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, or we can take those up now.
Thank you, Shravan, for such an amazing session. I'm pretty sure the viewers must be having a lot of questions. I can see quite a few. Um, just present them to you one by one. Um, okay, so here's the first question. Can you describe how the annotated screenshot actually helps distinguish between the agent clicked the wrong element and the element wasn't there at all?
Uh, the annotated screenshot is something that is only created after the action is performed on that element. So if the element isn't there, there won't be any action on top of that element. So there's no distinguishing that we'll have to do.
Okay. Uh, how should flaky mobile tests be handled by autonomous agents, in your opinion?
I mean, in my opinion, the flaky tests usually come from locators that are dynamic, no auto heal capabilities. So in terms of Kane CLI, we do not really manage locators. We have a built-in auto heal functionality. So maybe you are locally running your tests using Kane CLI, or using it on remote. It should always be able to heal if it's just a flaky behavior that you have inside your either application or your script.
Okay, got it. Here's the next one. How can Kane AI handle desktop applications where workflows involve system level interactions, not just browser based elements? Can it understand and validate the complete user journey across the application and underlying system?
Currently, Kane CLI can only interact with your browser. It does have a few more capabilities wherein it can just do API calls directly to your backend systems, or interact with your database itself, which you have exposed to Kane CLI. But talking about your user system, there is a feature we are working on, wherein you can just run pass in shell scripts, which Kane CLI can run in future. But that's all that it can do. There's no native uh, system level behaviors that it can interact with currently.
Got it. On to the next question. For a self-healing loop where a terminal agent like Claude Code needs to fix a broken mobile test, what is the best format to feed Kane's visual or console errors back to the agent so it knows exactly which UI component to fix?
Uh, Talking about visual or console errors, if you're authoring or running the test using Kane CLI, it will already have your context from the browser, all your console logs, your API logs, all the network logs. It already has the context from it. And if we are just talking about suggestions, which UI component to fix, it will have all the context from the session itself, so that it can just in the end, the bug section that we actually saw, the issues section, it will have a suggestion coming up there as to what broke.
Okay. Is the next question. How does a plain English assertion framework cleanly describe those custom gestures to a mobile agent without introducing ambiguity?
Right. So ambiguity can, I believe, always be there. So the behaviors can be very different. So in your applications on how you are building it or how one is building it. But talking about Kane CLI, if the first time it, let's say, tried to use a slider, try to just click on a specific section of the slider and it didn't slide, and maybe it has to just drag it, it will automatically correct it, and in future sessions it will know that your application which it was working with earlier doesn't work with clicks on sliders, it works with drag on sliders.
Okay. This particular question is a bit long. but we can break it and answer them one by one. So the first one is, how is Kane AI and Kane CLI fundamentally different from other AI powered testing platforms?
Uh, yes. So talking just about Kane CLI or Kane AI, what they actually are powered by is a completely new harness that we have created, and that is powered by all the uh, past learnings that we've had at Lambda Test in just talking about real devices or desktops. So that is just the harness that we have built and learned on top of over the years.
Okay, the next part of this same question is, what measurable advantages does it provide in terms of accuracy, reliability, test coverage, and autonomous execution?
What measurable advantages does it provide in terms of accuracy, reliability, test coverage, and automation execution? So, the measurable quantities would be, if you are actually working with the complete assurance loop, then it comes packed with almost all of these. Just talking about test coverage, we already saw in this session that uh, we have a full coverage section based on what you have already ingested, what Kane CLI is actually managing. Talking about accuracy and reliability, so it does emit the issues section, wherein you you can actually have a past list of runs. It's again managed inside the context itself, where you have a list of past sessions,
Okay.
and it can actually provide you insights on top of what was flaky, what test just kept getting passed.
Okay. Um, this seems like an interesting question. Consider worst case scenario where the Kane CLI crashes mid-run or when tests are running in the pipeline. Is there a fail-safe mechanism? And does the next invocation just clean up the orphaned evidence back and leave the operator to figure out what still needs to run?
That's a tricky question. If the Kane CLI process itself crashes, then no. But provided where your Kane CLI process is running, who has invoked it, if they have that retry mechanism, uh, then it should be able to continue from where it fell off. And just talking about the evidence, it's going to create a final evidence in the second run, which will have all the sessions, the test runs that were there.
Okay. I hope that answers Emma's question. Moving on to the next one. What's the actual trade-off between looping individual test invocations versus running a whole suite as one batch command? And where does the batch approach start to break down?
Uh, what's the actual trade-off between looping individual test invocations versus running a whole suite as one batch command? So running the whole suite as one batch command can be very expensive, to be honest. We always think that it should always be the impact area that should be run. There is no point in running the whole suite ever.
Mhm.
So based on the changes, based on the requirement change, Kane CLI, for example, actually has an impacted by command, wherein, let's say, a requirement change inside a PID and you already had an ingested PID, it can just throw away all the tests that should be run based on that requirement change. So it should be able to do that. That is how we should approach this problem and not run a whole suite ever. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I think we'll take one last question and mm, okay, just present it. Yeah. What seven data categories are in a evidence pack and which appears only on failure?
7 data categories. What were those 7 data categories? I'm not really sure what we are talking about here, but Yes, the issue section is just something that comes up on failure. So it actually flags if it was an automation issue, it was uh, actual drift in the application. It's the application that is actually breaking it. It is able to detect that easily. So this is just the one issue, one section that is uh, that appears on failure. And the coverage, obviously, it also has a failing section wherein it will give you what exact acceptance criteria were there that those failed.
Okay, got it. I think we've covered majority of the questions, but in case we could not answer anybody's particular question, please feel free to ask us over social media or reach out to us. Um, Thank you so much, Shravan, for an amazing session and answering such questions. And I hope the viewers enjoyed this session. And like I mentioned earlier, in any case you were not able to attend this entire session live right now, the recording for this particular session will be available on our YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can rewatch it at any point of time. With that being said, please enjoy the rest of the conference. There are a lot of amazing sessions stacked right after this one. So I hope you all have an amazing time. This is the last day of the conference, so make the best of it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, everyone.